Okay, so we talked about ratios and unit rates. Well, when we compare two ratios to one another, or we set them equal to one another, we call it a proportion. And I know that you're used to working with proportions, and I'm pretty sure you know how to solve this already, or how to look at this. But these two things are called equivalent. And we know they're equivalent because if I reduce 10/15ths, these two things are equal. In order to reduce 10/15ths, I would have to divide by 5 on the top and the bottom. You already know this, and it equals 2/3. So basically, a proportion has two fractions that are equal to one another set up. Well, I know that you guys know how to solve this. We've done this in the past in 8th grade. And so when I look at this and I go and I'm like, okay, I want to know what this is, what this part would be right here. Well, we have to do something called cross multiplication. Well, not always, but in this case we do. When we cross multiply, we're going to take 9 times 3 and we get 27. And we take 5 times w and we get 5w. Now this turns out to be a really ugly number. We both divide both sides by 5 and we actually end up with 27 divided by 5 is an ugly 5.4. Okay, so 5.4 is what we're looking for. So when we cross multiply and then we have to solve our equation, I know that you've seen that before. Let's try one more. Now, this one's a little different. And the reason is that you'll notice that I have y minus 3 here. Now I'm going to say something and I need you to listen very, very carefully. Are you listening? Anytime you have more than one item in the numerator or denominator, y minus or x plus, anything that has two different terms, listen to me carefully. Put parentheses around. Now you may say, well, why the heck would I do that? Well, I'm going to show you in 2 seconds. When I go to cross multiply this one to solve for this, I take 6 times 7, and that's not really a big deal. It's just 42. Everybody agree? Now, the big deal comes in here. I have 2 times y minus 3. Okay, 2, this is in parentheses, y minus 3, which tells me that I not only have to multiply the 2 times the y, but I also have to make sure that I multiply 2 times negative 3. So when I look at that, I get 2y minus 6. So basically the parentheses ensure that not only do I multiply times the y, but I also have to take 2 times this negative 3. Okay, now when I look at that, I'm solving a two-step equation. I want to leave the y till last. Okay, undo addition and subtraction, so we're going to add 6 to both sides. Add 6 and you end up with 48. Okay, so I have 48 equals 2y. Well, how do I solve for y? I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Okay, if I divide both sides by 2, I end up with y equals 24. Okay, now, if you need to, check it out, go ahead. 24 minus 3 would be 21. So I take 7 times 3 to get 21, 2 times 3 to get 6. That would work out. Y equals 24. Let's look at another one like that. We'll look at an easy one. We're going to get a little more complicated here in a second. Once again, I see two terms, so I'm going to put parentheses around that right away. Okay, I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to take 8 times 12 first. Okay, 8 times 12 is 96. And I have 1, and then I have parentheses, x plus 10, because I'm multiplying across this way, right? And my little cross multiplication symbols are getting a little messy. Now I'm just multiplying everything times 1, so guess what? That's not a big deal. 1 times x is 1x, and 1 times 10 is just 10. Okay, solve this thing. I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. Guess what 96 minus 10 is? 86. Now do I need to divide by 1? Not really. 1x and x are the same thing. You're done. Let's try one that has more than one set inside of it, okay? Let's look at this one. Now, same thing applies. I see those two terms right there. I'm going to put parentheses around them right away, okay? Now I'm going to multiply. I'm going to take 30 times a, and I get 30a. Everybody agree? Now, I'm going to take 2 times all of that. A minus 4. I can't do anything on the left side, so I'm just going to leave it. I have to make sure to get rid of the parentheses. Very first thing I should do. 2a minus 8. Okay, I'm going to leave a till last, so I'm going to get rid of this minus 8. I'm going to undo the subtraction, so I'm going to add 8 to... Oh, wait a minute. Back up the train. I can't do that. Why not? Let's look at my problem one more time. I have a's on either side, don't I? So instead of moving the 8, I have to move the 2. Man, I got to pay attention. Okay, well that makes sense. This is 28a equals negative 8. Well, how do I solve for a? I'm going to divide by 28, and this is going to be ugly, but that's okay. Math doesn't always come out to be pretty whole numbers. We all know that. So if I take 8 divided by 28, ooh, that's ugly. I get A equals, and this is going to be a negative because I have a negative and a positive. So this is going to be negative 0.29 if I round it to the nearest hundredths place. And that is just atrocious. Okay? Cool beans. Now, I want you to take a minute and try this one on your own. I'm going to give you a second. I'm just going to be quiet. I'll solve it, you solve it, and you look to see if you did it correctly, okay? I got n equals 11 over 3. You can turn that into a decimal if you want, but I prefer fractions, so I'm just going to leave it like that. N equals 11 over 3. Okay, for homework for tomorrow, try working on this, please. 118, numbers 26 through 54 even.